Huh.
Welcome. We're going to talk about spines today, and particularly bad spines. Spines with abnormal curves in them. Abnormal sideways curve is called a scoliosis, and we're going to talk about that a little bit. There are normal curves in the spine. There are supposed to be certain curves, so let's start with that. When you look, I invited my friend here, Tiny, because he's thin enough that we can use his spine as an example. So Tiny, come on over here for a minute. Let's look at you. When you look at the front or the back of a spine, it should be straight. All right, that's A1. Now, at the same time, when you look at the side view of the spine, there are normal curves here. You should have a curve in your neck that often gets straightened out. We'll talk about that in another video. You should have a curve the opposite direction between your shoulder blades and the thoracic spine, and then you should have another curve in the low back, the lumbar curve. That's normal. Any of those things can go wrong, and if the curves go wrong, it's a problem. Let's talk today about sideways curve in the spine. When the spine curves to the side, that puts some strain on there. That's called scoliosis if it's over 11 degrees. Up until 11 degrees, it's still a sideways curve. It's just not officially diagnosed as a scoliosis until you get to 11 degrees. Now you can imagine, you put a sideways curve in something that's supposed to be straight, it puts some stress on different tissues, particularly the soft tissues, the discs in between the vertebrae, the muscles, tendons, and ligaments that connect the spine and try to hold it upright. It puts stress on the nerves. That's the most important thing, because the nerves, of course, are the communication channel for the whole body. Brain communicates to the body through those nerves. Got to have clear function there. It also puts stress on the bone itself, and over time, living bone is not hard like ceramic. It's a little bit softer, almost like clay, and if you put sideways stress on a bone long enough, the bone will actually change shape. Now, what causes a scoliosis? There's a lot of it out there. It's more prevalent in females than in males. It's handed down through the female gene from mother to daughter, usually. It usually starts at the age of 10 or 11 or 12, just in early puberty, and continues throughout the growing years until the patient is 18, 19, 20, 21 years old. During that time, it can gradually get worse and worse and worse. If it gets to a certain point, usually it's at about 43, 44, 45 degrees. That's a lot of curve. If it gets to that point, it becomes a self-collapsing system. It can no longer hold itself up. The muscles are too stretched and too imbalanced, and at that point it becomes a problem, a bigger problem, because it will continue collapsing, and it starts impinging on inner organs inside the chest cavity. The lungs, the heart, for instance, start getting compressed, and it starts impacting their ability to function. So it can become a life-threatening issue. Before that, it puts strain on other tissues, and it impacts not only how a person looks, but how they move, how they function, and again, the nerves. Nobody knows what causes scoliosis. After all this time and all the money they put into medicine and medical research, nobody knows what causes it. There's a genetic component, there's a hormonal component, there's a structural and muscle balance component, there's a stress component, there's even a nutritional component. All these things work together to somehow cause the spine to slowly bend to the side. How do you fix a scoliosis? Really, you can't. Apart from God healing this, you can't fix it. However, you can manage it, and you can minimize it and even reduce it somewhat. Now, the earlier we catch a scoliosis and start to work on it, the better. Medically, there's not much they'll do with it. They will do a brace, they'll talk about some exercises, but there's not much they can do medically, short of surgery, which is surgical spine along the back. They put rods in there to jack it up straight, and then they close it up. However, that doesn't fix it, because if the problem isn't corrected at its root, I've seen those rods actually bend under the stress of what's causing the scoliosis. So surgery is not the answer. So chiropractically, there are some things we can do. We make corrections in each individual vertebrae, correcting the misalignment. We then assign very specific exercises, and I've seen scoliosis reduce. Again, if we catch it in a child, an adolescent, we can reduce it by 50%. In an adult, when this is done developing and the bones have solidified and things have become more or less permanently imbalanced, I've still seen it reduce a certain percentage, but not as much as if we catch it in the growing years. So scoliosis, it can be a big problem, but it can be helped. It can be managed with adjustments, exercises, nutritional support, and so on. So if you have a child who has scoliosis, get them to a chiropractor right away. If you want to come to us, we're happy to help. You can contact us at our website or our phone number. They're on the screen here. In the meantime, if you do get the word scoliosis, don't panic, but do get especially adolescents, get them to a chiropractor early on. If you're an adult with scoliosis, see your chiropractor so degeneration doesn't become a bigger and bigger factor as well. God bless you as you search for help with your health questions.
Huh.